Hello people, it's that time again. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny Graham. Welcome to my show. Before we get started on today's topic, I'm going to actually do two things. First thing we actually do is please subscribe to my channel. Second thing we actually do is please hit notification bell because I don't want you to miss any material that I upload. Now today I was wondering what in the world could I do for a topic. And as I was traveling on my and listening to my phone, I saw and I heard in specific two things on YouTube that really kind of ticked me off a little bit. Well, not ticked me off, but when I heard it, I couldn't believe it. And the category was 10 things that sucked about Endgame. Well, mine is going to be 10 reasons. Well, not even 10 reasons, but why Endgame did not suck. Because if you are a DC or a Marvel fan, a comic book fan, there is nowhere in the world that you think that movie sucked. Now, there may be certain aspects of it that you didn't like, but not liking something and saying something sucks is two totally different things. Those are two horses of different colors. Now, there are some aspects, and I'm going to give these two people that I heard today, I did not like the Fat Thor. But I didn't think the movie sucked because of Fat Thor. I thought that one poor choice was something I did not like, but it did not make the movie suck. Secondly, I did not care for Tony Stark dying, but I understand the title story in. I understand why they did it. That's their choice. That's where they want to go because they are the directors in this movie. So I understand why they did it. Did I like it? No. Did it cause the movie to suck? No. Did I maybe use that phrase, man, it sucked that he died? Yeah, that particular part of the movie did suck that he died. But the movie overall, did it suck? There's no way. If you are a true comic book fan, there is no way the Endgame sucked. And people that are writing these stories on YouTube or doing these shows, I don't understand why they see that because the movie was excellent. Certain choices in the movie you may not like, but the movie sucking is totally ludicrous to me. Now you're gonna see me refer to my pad because I want to write down these notes on the things I'm going to cover. The first person that I listened to, his name is Ned Allen. Ned Allen 2.0, that's his YouTube channel. And before I get started, I'm not saying that. Only thing I'm saying is that I don't agree with his views on the movie. He had 10 things why it sucked. I stopped at about 5 because I thought he was talking crazy talk. But again, that's his opinion. He has a right to his opinion. This is going to be my opinion. One of the things he talked about 3 hours long being too long for the movie. Okay, they told you well before the movie came out that it was going to be 3 hours. So if you didn't want to see it, don't go see it. Or if you think 3 hours is too long, then wait till it comes out on DVD and watch it. But don't complain that the movie was too long because they told you up front. It'd be one thing if they didn't tell you something, you go in there and say, dang, it was 3 hours. But they told you well before the movie came out that it was 3 hours. So you can't use that the movie was too long because they told you. And for 22 movies, I don't think 3 hours is too long to sufficiently tie it up. Now, whether or not you like the way they tied it up is totally up to you, your opinion. But they told you well before the movie came out it's going to be 3 hours. So that is bogus reason not to like it. He says one of the things is when Thanos came from the future and blew up the Avengers compound, that certain certain characters should have been killed, but because of the sake of the plot, they weren't. And the two characters he called out were Ant-Man and the Archer. He had enough courtesy to know that the Archer is Hawkeye. Or in this movie, he was Ronin, then he came back to Hawkeye. Okay, granted, they don't have superpowers. They're regular humans, with the exception of Ant-Man having the power to grow and shrink. I don't know whether he shrank small enough to get away from a lot of damage. I don't know. But he also made this next statement that they didn't work for their powers. Okay, most of the comic book characters that I'm familiar with didn't work for their powers. They were either born with them or it was accident. Case in point, Spider-Man was accidentally bitten by a radioactive spider. Green Lantern was chosen accidentally whenever the Green Lantern before him died. The ring chose him. Shazam was chosen. Who else? The Flash was it was an accident. The chemicals in the lab with lightning struck and he became the Flash. No one worked for it. So he's saying how Captain Marvel didn't work for her powers. It was an accident. Okay, that's how a lot of the comic book characters get their powers. It's accident. Like the Hulk, he accidentally got dose with gamma radiation. Okay, that's what Stan Lee does. Accidents are either born with it. There are very few that are made into it or work for it. Batman is the exception to the rule. He worked and he became Batman. But other than that, I really can't think of any other ones other than being born or accidentally happened to it or given the powers. He also said something about the Falcon. The Falcon wasn't even in that scene. The Falcon came after the scene whenever Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America fought Thanos. And when Captain America was able to pick up the hammer and Thanos cracked his shield in half pretty much, that's when the Falcon came into it. So Falcon was not in the scene where Thanos shot the Avengers compound. So you didn't get your facts right on that, Mr. Allen. He talks about fan service. Okay, the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige listen to the fans because they know the fans want to see a certain thing. That's why we went. We want to see Infinity War. We want to see Endgame. You gotta listen to the fans because DC don't listen to their fans. And guess what? That's why their movies, most of them suck. With the exception of Wonder Woman and Aquaman, most of the movies did not even break $500 million. So you gotta listen to the fans. If you don't listen to the fans, you may not get a movie that people want to see. Kevin Feige and Russo brothers listen to the fans, and last time I checked, they made over $2 billion. So they're doing something right. Working hard for their powers. I already reviewed that. The second person I'm going to talk about is a YouTuber called Cinemope. That's Cinemope. Now he has some very intelligent, well thought out comments and issues with the movie. One of his issues, he said, the time travel element. Okay. Everybody thinks, before we saw this movie, that it was just like Back to the Future. You go back to the past, you change whatever was wrong, and it straightens out in the future. But they tell us it doesn't work like that. And the last time I checked, this shit is fantasy. It ain't real. So why are we trying to overanalyze and say, well, this don't match, and this is this? This shit is fantasy. It ain't real. It's the Russo brothers, their own perspective, where they see it. And who's to say, one part he talks about in particular is that how did Captain America, the old Captain America, get back in this time stream that, okay, we don't know whether or not the Russo brothers are leaving that one part that you talk about and that you call out could be some opening to another angle that they're coming at. Because the Russo brothers are notorious at leaving strings, and we pull those strings to see whether or not the real fabric gets the real fabric and the real storyline. How Captain America get back into the timeline, they said if you watch their shows, their question and answer shows they got now on YouTube, is something that they're doing to start off another story. So how he got back, maybe some kind of secret war thing. We don't know now. Right now, it doesn't make sense because we only see this part of it. But when they come back from making the other movies and come back and pick up where that story left off at, we might see how Captain America did this or did that. You never know. Doctor Strange can go to all different kind of realities and stuff. Doctor Strange, if you remember, helped Thor and Loki get to where Odin was in Thor Ragnarok. So who's to say that he didn't go back to Doctor Strange and said, Doctor Strange, I need to get back to this reality. And Doctor Strange, who's able to see all the different realities, was able to put him back into the correct times. We don't know that, but that may be a different story for another time. So you can't sit here and say that this didn't match, it didn't match. Okay, they maybe intentionally didn't match it so they can create another story later on down the road. Gotta think about that. The Russo brothers are very smart. They are true fans, and they understand how this stuff works. They're gonna leave some stuff and show us some stuff to keep us guessing. He said how Tony Stark makes a time travel device. If you remember, when they went to see Tony Stark at that cabin, Ant-Man was asking him all different kind of questions, and Tony Stark was shooting it down and saying, no, that can't work because of this theory, that theory, whatever. So Tony Stark's already had an understanding of quantum physics, because that's the first thing they said they needed, somebody who was well versed in quantum physics. Tony Stark was, but he didn't have the Pym particles. That was the missing element. Once he had the Pym particles, other information that he and Ant-Man discussed, that's when he went to his computer and made whatever, I think he called it the temporal GPS or the time GPS or whatever, the quantum GPS. That's when he made that. He didn't make a time machine. He just made a way that they could control it and find out exact pinpoints. That's what he did. He didn't physically make a time machine. He complains about it being 3 hours too long. Well, like I said earlier, you know how long it was before you went in there. So if you didn't like it, you shouldn't have gone in there. Last point I'm going to make, he said Tony's suit couldn't take the Stone's powers. Okay, Thanos and the Hulk is considerably stronger than Tony Stark, and it almost killed both of them. It almost killed Thanos, and it almost burned off the Hulk's arm. So if it did that to two of the most strongest and most powerful characters in the MC universe, what do you think it's going to do to a regular human? Now, he didn't have time enough to upgrade his suit because if you remember, whenever the Hulk made the snap, Thanos came in shortly after. He came through the time rip and blew up the Avengers compound. So Tony Stark never had time to upgrade his suit to withstand the power of the stones. If he's given enough time, maybe he could, because if you notice, he was able to upgrade his suit, and when Thor shot his lightning into his armor, he was able to channel it in the unibeam and make it a weapon. I'm sure if Tony Stark would have been given enough time, he could have made an upgrade that possibly could withstand the power of the Infinity Stones, but he wasn't given enough time. So these are just my little observations, and I'm saying that unless you are not a fan, if you're a casual fan, then maybe you can say this movie sucked. But if you are a true DC, Marvel comic book fan, there is no way you should say that this movie sucked. This movie was awesome. Certain aspects of it, certain parts we didn't like, I agree with you. I did not like Fat Thor. I did not like the fact that the Black Widow and Tony Stark died. But that doesn't. I'm not ever gonna say this movie sucked. And we gotta remember, this shit ain't real. It's a fantasy. This is not something real. You should be getting all bent out of shape. Sometimes things ain't gonna add up because it's not real. This is the perspective of two brothers who are comic book fans. This is how they see it. This is what they're gonna put in place. So we don't know later on down the road when they come back in phase 6, 7, or 8. We don't know what phase they come back in. They're gonna put together the pieces, and this will fit. Just like all those 22 movies, some of the things they show in this movie close out the other 22 movies. And it's like, oh, that's what happened. That's how it worked. We're gonna see behind the scenes. We're gonna see what happened. So before you go out and say that this movie sucks, you need to watch it 2 or 3 times. You definitely need to watch the Russo brothers. They got several YouTube videos out now where they're asking questions. People will be able to ask them questions. They're answering, and they are telling you in-depth questions and reasons why they did this. So as always, please leave your comments. Please give me a thumbs up. As always, I want to ask you, please stay cool, stay safe, and I end always with peace.